morning, Rachel here, Treehouse Knits, episode 44. How are you all doing today? It's a beautiful Saturday. I'm just sitting here outside drinking my coffee and thought I would say good morning to you and get an episode out of our podcast. I am technically supposed to be in Chicago right now at Stitches Midwest, but I have had a cold this week and I'm at the point where yesterday was coughing nonstop. I'm feeling better today and I'm feeling like I have a major case of Fomo. So I thought I'd just pop on here and see how it goes and see how often I need to cough. I will try and cut those coughs out. But I am sitting here in my backyard. It is a beautiful week here in the beautiful state of Michigan, a beautiful summer week, low humidity, warm temperatures, birds are singing. I just had to be outside. How are you all doing today? Some things that I thought we could talk about today. I want to share with you a little administrative stuff. We have a drawing for our summer mitten cal, for Denise and my summer mitten cal. I have my first drawing. The first half of the knit along is over, so we'll share that. I want to talk to you a little bit about the brunch that I went to up at Woolen Honey. Met the grocery girls. Plucky Knitter was there. Haley, had a great time. Also want to share with you a few of my works in progress and finished objects. I've got some cross stitch, obviously some knitting, and a few acquisitions from the Plucky event and a purchase I made from Legacy Fiber Arts. I also have a giveaway at the end, so stay tuned for that. Let's just go ahead and get started. Let's jump into administrative stuff. So I did a random number generator for posts 2 through I think it was 64, and it ended up picking number 26. That's Rosalba B from New Jersey. Rosalba, you made those, I think you're the one that made those amazing fox mittens. I'll put a link down below or in my show notes to that. But the cutest little mittens with a fox that peeks out. You are the winner of the Legacy Fiber Arts. It's a 2-pack of her Grey Gardens and Hydrangea colorways. It's a floor ply DK weight, 75, 25, 245 yards in each, so this would make a great set of mittens. Rosalba, contact me when you've heard this. I'm going to give you a couple days to watch. If I don't hear from you, I will I'll give you a tag in the Ravelry thread. Congrats! So my next drawing will be the end of August. The cal goes through August 31st. Let's talk a little bit about Woolen Honey. Oh, I had such a fun day. I actually got through the lottery, won a ticket to the Woolen Honey Sunday morning brunch event that took place at a beautiful farm. The house on the farm has been kind of restored like a Joanna Gaines kind of restoration. It's beautifully done, big front porch, and when I arrived, the whole front porch was Plucky Knitter, and it felt like a little shop had just grown up right there on the front porch. It was so cool. People everywhere. I think there was maybe 35 to 40 people, if I'm right. It felt really small and intimate. I met a lot of really nice local knitters, as well as knitters who flew in, I think, for the event too, and got to meet Tracy and Jody. They are just like they are on their podcast, The Grocery Girls. And just had a great time with people, fellow knitters, and saw a lot of beautiful knitwear. In particular, I met, her name is Mary Claire 92 on Ravelry, and I will insert a picture here. This is a wrap, that she made. I forget what she called it, but it was basically a Game of Thrones wrap where she associated a specific colorway with a person, and each episode she would do the stripes for the person, and then if that person died, she would not include them in the stripes, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like one of those temperature blankets, but she let the show kind of dictate the stripes that were in each section. It was really, really cool, and it was beautiful too. So it's really fun to do that kind of knitting where you just kind of let something dictate what colors you add in or stitches or whatnot. I know I did one a couple years ago for March Madness here in the States. We have the collegiate tournament for basketball, and they do a huge tournament. Many of you know that, I'm sure. And I did a cowl that the colors, what order the colors were in and stitches were dictated by which teams won and how much they won by. If you're interested, I'll put a link below to that cowl. Anyway, that was really fun. And it was really fun to meet you, Mary, and the rest of the people that I met as well. I had a great time. The brunch was beautiful, lots of really delicious food. Cherry juice from cherries in northern Michigan. It was just a great time. I wanted to wear something knitty, but it was a gorgeous day. It was like a high of 72 up there. It was just beautiful. But you know, when you go to these events, you kind of want to wear something knitty. And the night before, decided I wanted to make a necklace. So I found a pattern online. The pattern is by Suzanne Summers, not the Suzanne Summers you might know from Three's Company. This is Suzanne Summers on Ravelry. She is a prolific designer on Ravelry. She's the Sashui shrug person, if that helps, but she had some knitted jewelry that she has patterns for online, and I did her chevron necklace. I'll put a link here and I'll put a picture of it. Unfortunately, I cannot find it at the moment. But I'm sure I'll wear it in an episode coming up in the future. But I got a lot of compliments from that. I basically took an old necklace that I wasn't wearing because the length was wrong, but it had a silver tassel to it. I took it apart, I knit the section in between, that's the chevron, and then I reconnected it with the necklace parts and replace the tassel to the bottom point. I got a lot of compliments on that, and it was so easy and super, super fun to make. So I wanted to just show that to you as a possibility. Maybe you have some things in your jewelry box that you're not wearing that you could incorporate something knitty to it and create something pretty. Okay, so let's talk. Why don't I share with you what I got from Plucky, and the Grocery Girls had stuff too. First off, I got the Grocery Girls Notions bag, this cute little Grocery Girls logo, stitch zipper pull, and then inside, cute little ruler and stitch markers with a Grocery Girl logo. I haven't really looked at inside here very much. Tape measure, Grocery Girls, and these cute little pins. I'm not really a pin person, but these will be fun to have. This one is Sock Talk and Hat Chat. You know about those if you watch the Grocery Girls and know some of their segments. So I actually got one for myself and one for Denise, who wanted one. And Jody was selling, look what I found. Jody was selling these bags. This is a really fun knitting bag. This is Jazz Hands colorway by, I have no idea, but I remember she said Jazz Hands as the colorway. And I just found my necklace. So here's the necklace I was just talking about. There's the tassel. Let me see, do I have it on? It does work front or back. I don't know if there's a good side or a wrong side, but yeah, hard to see. But there's the necklace. If I back up, I don't know. I'm not gonna move, but you get the gist of it, and maybe I'll wear that now. And then I had to get something plucky. Oh, in here, oh, we're at it. Man, this is disjointed today, isn't it? This is the pattern. So Sue. Hello, George. Hi. So it's So Sue chevron necklace by Suzanne Summer. So her last name has no S, it's just Summer, Suzanne Summer. Whoa. Okay, and then the Plucky Knitter Leelanau palette. This is a special palette that they made. Leelanau is the name of the county that Woolen Honey is in, and it is one of the most beautiful counties in the state of Michigan. These are the colors that I thought would be beautiful in some sort of shawl, or I could use these colors in a color work sweater of some sort. Oh, you're getting the idea. This is actually a really dark blue. This is called Manitou. There it is. Maybe Manitou. This is called Sweet 16. This one is Piping Plover. It's a really pretty light gray. This is my favorite, called Alligator Hill. Oh, that green is gorgeous. So that is what I got up at the Plucky Knitter event. So great, wonderful time. Okay, so let's go to finished objects. So the first finished object I want to show you is knitting related. A couple months ago, I got this yarn from the Knit Crate box. This is, I don't have my tag with me, but this is a cotton wool blend. So it's a merino wool blend. So it's a lighter material, so soft, really pretty halo. And I actually knit a modified version of the pattern that they gave as part of the membership box in June, and it's called Fields of Lavender. The other color that was offered was lavender. This is I think it's called Tiger Lily. And I was working on this when we went to Europe, especially on the train ride from Munich to Vienna, and it ended up being really long, almost like a scarf. So while it didn't end up the way I thought it would, I still like it, and I still probably will give it to the recipient that I was thinking of. Not a shawl kind of day, but you can wear it in many different ways. You could wrap it around a few times, and I will insert my close-up shots of it for you, so you get an idea of how I would style it while I'm not in front of you making a fool out of myself because I'm terrible at styling. I used all two skeins, actually ran out of yarn, so I had to go back to Knit Crate and buy another skein. So I have almost, well, it's a 100-gram skein. I used what I needed to use. I reweighed it before I put it back in my stash, and it was 100 grams. So I hardly needed anything to finish it, but it was the darn picot edging that took a lot. Okay, so there's my first finished object. The second finished object I want to show is actually cross stitch. I finished, you know I've been working on a series of seasonal cross stitch patterns. There's 4 of them for the 4 seasons by Country Cottage Needleworks, and I've been working on summer. That's what it's supposed to look like. And I will show you, I changed out the colors, and I am using a, let's see if I've got a tag. I forget what the, oh, is this gonna help me? Nope. I'm not using DMC. I am using, what is it called? I can't think of the name. I will put the name of the floss that I'm using But here is the finished stitch, and I'll just kind of, it's kind of long, so I will just go like that. So there is summer, get an idea of it, and I have spring done. Here's spring. I think spring might be my favorite. I love those colors. And I have autumn done. So now I just need to work on winter, and then I will somehow finish them so that I have one backing, and I think I'll mount these on some sort of board and then use magnets to change it out for the seasons. But I haven't completely thought that through. I thought I'd wait till I was done with the stitching. Okay, so that is the stitching. I've got a big work in progress that one of these days I'll share on the podcast. It's called A Savior's Praise, and it's by Shakespeare's Peddler. It's supposed to look like a reproduction of an old sampler, but it's actually a sampler that was just kind of created to look old. My son is smiling at me out there. Okay, this is weird doing a podcast with my family at home. Okay, so the other work in progress I started yesterday actually, because I was feeling sorry for myself about missing Stitches Midwest because of this stupid cold. I have a pack of gradients from Leading Men Fiberworks. It's actually their Diva gradient set called Alien Attack. And these are 3 of the colors. The other 2 are even lighter at the top. I know, it's no fun looking through a plastic bag, is it? Let me get it out and show you. Yeah, this is much better. This is the darkest color it's going to be. And then I started a medium-sized Pebble Beach. I just wanted something that was a little bit mindless, but I know it's going to be beautiful when it's done because I have done Pebble Beach before. I am on to color number 2, and this is the start. I have never knit with yellow before, I don't think. And this was so cheery yesterday when I wasn't feeling well. But this is going to be Pebble Beach. I'll insert a picture of my last Pebble Beach here. This is such a phenomenal project. I love the pattern. I love how the final project looks, just because I do like that lace look, but it's a modern lace look, almost polka dot like. And you'd think it's just yarn overs that are creating these, but it's a little bit different, and it gives kind of this wavy definition. When I block it out, it's going to be incredible. But trust me when I say that the way it's very potato chippy and simple, but every 4th row has a little tweak to it that makes this really cool modern like lace. The other thing I found, I did not realize this until I got going, was I'm working with a 5 skein set that equals 600 grams. And Helen Stewart's patterns, if you've ever done one, you know that she uses the percentage system where she gives you every line. I'm just going to show you here, every line of every row, what you're supposed to do. And then she tells you how many stitches you should have at the end of that row. And then she tells you what percentage you should have used of your yarn. What's neat about that is when I get to 20% on here, if I'm on the right track with the amount of yarn that I'm using, I should be done with my first mini skein. And I happen to run out of my first mini skein color the row before 20%. So I'm pretty much on track. And that's helpful, especially when you want to get to the end and have enough to do that picot bind off. I got burnt on that last orange color shawl. Had to go out and buy a whole nother skein because I did not have enough yarn for the picot. So just another thing to consider if you have those gradient packs or multi packs and you want to get through them all. I want to get as much, I want to use the whole pack up, and I want to get to that dark color as much as possible. It's so frustrating when you're working with a gradient and your pattern ends before you can use, you know, the majority of the darkest color or the lightest color, whichever way you're going. I hope I'm making sense here, but yeah, I just wanted to share that neat thing that occurred to me as I was doing it. I'm using my Like needles. I haven't used these often, but they're nice and pointy. They're wooden. Normally I like metal, but it's a smooth wood and it's nice for the lace. So these are working out well for me. I'm not really missing metal needles on them. So that's Pebble Beach by Helen Stewart. Okay, now let's see. I got some happy mail, big time happy mail. Legacy Fiber Arts had an update, and you know, Legacy Fiber Arts is a friend of the podcast. Sue and Chelsea are friends of mine, and they do amazing work. They also are the ones that have donated to our Cal, and I could not pass up the colors. These are their fall colors based on Little Shop of Horrors. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen Little Shop of Horrors, but I will watch it for sure. But it has inspired Sue to make some beautiful, fun colorways. This is a sock kit in steel toes. I want you to see the colors. That's a good representation, the colors. This is a sock kit on their steel toes base, which is a 4-ply fingering weight 75-25 base. I don't know if I'll use it for socks, but I love that blue with this green. There's little splashes of that blue in there. And then this is called Audrey 2. And this is merino cashmere nylon. Look at how she's dyed that. I love those pops of that green in there with the pink. I don't know how she dyes this and how many steps it takes, but it's just gorgeous. This is on Cozy Toes. It's their 4-ply fingering weight merino cashmere nylon. And then I ended up getting the Little Shop of Horrors on the cashmere as well. You can see how it knits up a little differently. This is steel toes and this is cashmere. You can just see it's a little fluffier. And I mean, I wouldn't say it's softer. They're steel toes. While the name sounds harsh and strong, it's just tighter spun, but I feel like it's just as soft. Yeah. So I'm excited to use those somehow. I'm not quite sure yet. It's one of those purchases where I buy the yarn before I have a project in mind. All right, July Knit Crate. I know we're a little late on this, but the July Knit Crate came with this little elephant stitch marker. Super cute. I don't know, it's by Mermaid City Yarn, so they must make stitch markers as well. And then this is the yarn. It's coming across as kind of, I don't know, grayish, but it's definitely a seafoam green color. Super soft, Knitology glowing worsted. Well, you know why it's super soft. Not only is it 40% superwash merino, it's 30% silk, 30% alpaca. So you get the alpaca halo, you get the shininess and the smoothness of the silk and the drape. See how this just kind of flops down? That means this is gonna make a drapey garment of some sort. But it also has the superwash merino softness and plumpness. This is quite the combination, actually. The colorway is called Flying Trapeze. I'm not sure why it's called Flying Trapeze in a seafoam green. It's not the color I think of when I think of Flying Trapeze, but their theme was circus related last month. So in it, there's 300 total yards here. And it's, like I said, it's a worsted weight, so that's quite a bit of yarn for worsted. Now the pattern that came with this, here are all the colors. You can find them on knitcrate.com, and a lot of times they are deeply discounted after the fact. Here are the colors. It's like a navy blue, a red. Look at how gorgeous that red is. And there's my greenish color. And they have hand warmers. These would be beautiful hand warmers. There it is in the blue. The green would be gorgeous, showing off the cables. I'm assuming that's a ribbing, twisted ribbing. This cowl, let's see if there's a good picture. Beautiful cowl. Is that the crochet? Yes, that is the crochet. As a thank you to you guys who are my great viewers and subscribers, I want to give this away this episode. So let's have a little fun with the giveaway. I was watching the 3-Ply podcast last week, maybe, or 2 weeks ago, and Angie had she posed a question about what was the first Ravelry project you favorited. I thought that was interesting. That would be kind of fun to kind of hear from newbies what their favorite patterns were, and the one that got you, more than likely, that first pattern that you favorited was when you joined on Ravelry. I haven't even looked to see what my first favorite pattern was. I'm going to stick it right here. Okay, so let me know down below the first project or pattern that you favorited on Ravelry. Let us know the name and the designer if you can, and I will do a random number generator, probably the YouTube comment picker, and we will give away this gorgeous July yarn. My August yarn should be coming shortly. I'll share that with you. Last couple of things. I picked up a book. I was actually, I don't know where I heard about this book, and our library happened to have it. I also love to, I love to stitch. I also love to sew, and this book caught my eye. It's called Stitch and Sew, and it's by Anila Hoy. Beautifully embroidered 31 projects, pouches, clutches, cases, and more. And I thought about this for us knitters and us makers. We always need pouches, and what a neat way to incorporate stitching with sewing. So the projects in here, maybe there's a page that shows all the projects. That would be a good idea. Let's see, here's some of the projects. Aren't those cute? And what it does is it gives you the pattern that you can transpose or just copy onto your bag or whatever. Here's the stitching that you can kind of copy over and make your own. I like that. I thought that was kind of pretty. But yeah, take a look, check out this book if it's something that interests you. It's got the patterns, and they give you the option to download and print as well, so if that's your thing. So it teaches you a little bit of how to sew pouches as well as how to stitch. It's got the sewing directions and the embroidery directions. It also has a front section about embroidery basics. So this just seems like a really nice starter book for someone who wants to learn how to embroider and someone who wants to know some sewing basics when it comes to pouches and bags and stuff. So yeah, straight stitch, running stitch, back stitch, cross stitch. I mean, there's all kinds of stitches it shows how to do. And then it shows you how to make an embroidered sampler notebook, a drawstring pouch, a clutch, a flex case, small change purse, and a zipper pouch. So these are all things I think us knitters and sewers and stitchers would love to incorporate all of our hobbies, because I know many of you out there are more than just knitters. I would guess the majority of you do other crafts as well. I know, I see you. I see you on Instagram with all the fun things that you guys do. Okay, last thing I wanted to share. A couple weeks ago, my parents brought back a stack of stuff from a cousin in my hometown who has a treasure trove of vintage things in her home. And she is also a maker, jack of all trades, craft kind of person, knows how to do so much. And she sent along some booklets and things that she thought I would be interested in seeing. I'm going to share some of those over the next few podcasts. But I have to say, some of these magazines, while the projects in them are interesting to look at, the advertisements are even more interesting. Now, this is from Better Homes and Gardens, July 1952. I don't have, this is just how it came. I don't have, looks like the outside of it, but I have the guts. And the first thing I see, this is ripped up here, but you're gonna get the gist, is up here it's a woman playing piano. It's been ripped, but you can see. And down here is a woman getting married. And I just have to read to you the ads that women had to read in the 1950s. She thought she'd never hear it. It's wonderful how the correction of one little fault can sometimes change a girl's entire life. Take Laura, for example, past 30 and not a prospect, an old maid, people said. Indeed, Laura herself thought she would never hear the wedding march played for her, but eventually she did. Married a wonderful guy, too, but only because she chanced to overhear a remark that brutally brought home what her trouble had been. Why she had been unable to hold a man, but she did. It could be you. Nothing repels a man like halitosis, in parentheses, bad breath. And everyone, even you, can be guilty without knowing it. Why risk offending needlessly? Why take chances with lesser methods when Listerine antiseptic is such a wonderful, extra careful precaution against it? Stops bad breath for hours. Simply rinse the mouth with Listerine antiseptic and bad breath is stopped instantly, delightfully, and usually for hours on end. Never, never omit it before any date. So, when you want extra assurance about your breath, trust Listerine antiseptic, the proven germ-killing method that so many popular, fastidious people rely on. Make it a part of your passport to popularity. Use it morning, night and morning, and before every date. And you too can be her in that picture, getting married to the man of her dreams. Oh my gosh, I am so glad I live in 2019. Aren't you? So I thought it would be fun to share some of those with you as we go on. You know, shows you how far we've come and how far we still can go, for sure. That's for sure. So I want to thank you for joining me this episode. I didn't have too many coughing breaks. I will make sure that I cut those out. I hope you have a wonderful next 2 weeks, and don't forget to join in on the giveaway of the knit crate from July. Can't wait to give that to one of you. Just make sure you share with us the first project or pattern that you favorited on Ravelry. Have a great week, folks. See you on the next episode of Treehouse Knits. Bye.